Hey, what's up, everybody? It is Sunday, and of course, it's a little bit bloody today. Not too bad. Maybe between 2, 3, and 4%. Really not too bad. So, we'll take it, especially how Sundays have been usually like 10, 15% down. So, yeah, not too bad at all. All right, let's start here with the price of Theta. You can see, you got sort of this triple bottom here, right? And you got this 1, 2. Is this a 3, 4? And let's get 5. If that's the case, that would be really good because that's what we need to find. We need to find a 5 wave move off the low. We haven't gotten it yet, so maybe we can get up here. And if we got a 5 wave move, then we would look for an ABC pullback. So this would be a wave 1, a wave 2, and then we would go up for a wave 3. Let's see if that's the case. You can also see we have this resistance line right here, and you can kind of see a shoulder, maybe a head, maybe we're curling around for another shoulder. If so, you want to break above the neckline, sometimes back test it, and then obviously continue. So, that's, I mean, pretty much it for the smaller time frames. We really, this could be a flat here, right? An A, B, C. If it is, then you would look for maybe another 5 wave move that takes the low and then comes back up and breaks out. And you can see a Wyckoff accumulation pattern shaping up, right? Where this could be your spring. It doesn't have to take the low. For example, it can, cut down and kind of make a rounded bottom in here, sort of like this, like a shoulder, right? It doesn't have to pierce the low. These are just ideas, not financial advice. So basically, what we're looking for is a retrace. We're looking for this to hold support and eventually go back into the retracement levels. Why do we expect that and not continue to crash? Well, because number one, we're oversold. Number two, we have 5 waves. Number three, we have an equal leg. You could see we have equal length of waves here, right? So we have a completed ABC a move. Now, there's no guarantee that it's complete, right? You could still have another wave down. But based on where we are in the support levels, you can kind of see this little area. This is basically the last frontier. This is our last support level. So it's really important that we hold this and that we start to come back up. Otherwise, the whole count could be wrong because this could be then a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And then, right, this would be like an A, a B, and a C, right? So you have your impulse here. This is the perpetual contract chart, so it's not showing the whole thing, but if I just show you real quick, here's the whole chart. This could be a WXY, right? That's my belief versus 3 waves up, and this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 A, 1, 2, 3 B, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for C. So you have an A, B, C, and then breaking out, right? So that's the bearish idea. The bullish idea, or when I say bearish bullish, I mean short term wise. For this example, right? 3 waves up, 3 waves down, and then you would get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves up, very fast and violent. C wave, right? So you have an A, B, C. So you still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 A, and then this just becomes a more complex B. And then you kind of come down, maybe build a base in here, and then go up like a rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways breakout. So there's still, I mean, that's the big picture. I'm not going to get too much into it. Watch yesterday's video, but essentially kind of break it down just because, where we are in this wave here, right? I mean, you could see 1, 2, right? You could see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You could see 1, 2, all of that's 3. This is 4, and this is 5. So if we look at the fifth, is the fifth complete? If we zoom in, it's a little bit of a crappy wave structure, but essentially, like 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then you have right here, this was the important one right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? So this was the ending move there. And we were talking about that pretty aggressively, that if this was if this comes down and takes a low, which it did, it took both lows and then it quickly came back. That was like the liquidity grab. Not only that, but it was the fifth wave, right? So, but not only that, you had bullish divergence all over the chart, right? So look at the 8-hour chart. You got all that bullish divergence, very strong too. And it goes all the way up to the 3-day chart, basically, right? So boom and boom. So 3-day chart is more than enough evidence for bullish divergence. So let's see how this week plays out. I don't expect it to just go like this. I don't even expect it to go like this. I mean, what makes more sense to me is if you had like a little bit of a base, something like this, right? Something like this, where it sort of builds support, builds a launch pad, then it goes up. You basically get away from the scene of the crime. If you go up too quickly, if you just go up to here, right? I mean, that's okay. And then you kind of pull around. You have a shoulder, you have a head, you have a shoulder, right? And then maybe get back up to this level up in here, right? Then maybe have to ABC back down to back test this level, the support level, the neckline of the inverse. And then from there, start grinding back to your deep retracements like the 786, right? And then maybe from there, start to kind of consolidate a little bit and then eventually break out. That's kind of basically the wall of worry. You're climbing the wall of worry, right? Or if you kind of go sideways in here and build a platform, you can get it much more quickly and more impulsively. So we'll see how it plays. But yeah, the big thing is this level right here. That's your wake up line right there, right? So I believe we will get back to this line, hopefully in the next wave, right? So this is one wave, this is one wave, this is one wave, right? These are all individual waves, but it's all part of one wave. And this one wave is finished because it's 3, right? So now we want another, just like how this was 3 waves, right? It was a flat. You can see the B broke below the A. So, we're expecting a fresh new 3-way move, and that should be to the upside because the previous one was to the downside. But what's really interesting is XRP, right? I should have probably started with XRP, but look at this. It's at 224 now. And we just had news that the SEC, right? Remember Atkins, the SEC chair, was just signed in literally not that, like last week. And he's already getting his butt moving because the SEC, I think, officially said the lawsuit is over. So I believe the SEC is pretty much, ending the lawsuit. And then or was that it, or was it the ETF? Oh, I'm sorry. This was the actual news. Okay, ProShares to launch leveraged short XRP futures ETFs on April 30th. So they're going to open the shorts, but not the longs. I don't really understand that. So you can only short XRP. You cannot long it, right? No, I don't know if that's true, but 3 new XRP futures ETF from issuer ProShares to set April 30th. Funds provide leverage to increase exposure to XRP, but do not hold the asset directly as a spot ETF. The 3 funds join whatever that is, 2x long daily XRP ETF, the market's first XRP ETF. So it looks like people are just bullish for the ETF. And again, we talked about this a lot, basically saying that this is the ammunition that we want. So right here, SEC approves April 30th launch for XRP ETF. I mean, there you go. They approved it. So that's why if you look at the chart, and we literally just talked about this yesterday, the fact that XRP has a lot of ammunition, and since we're flagging out in a fourth wave, right? Any type of ammunition like China, the tariffs, or ETFs, or regulations, or whatever, could easily, drastically increase the price of XRP, right? There is more bullish ammunition than bearish ammunition. The bearish ammunition is China not making a deal. That's basically it, or poor job numbers or higher interest rates, but that seems to be under control. The bullish news, right, like an ETF, a Ripple IPO, that's obviously much later, but then you have the regulations. I mean, you also have China making a deal. China making a deal could be bullish, or China not making a deal could be bearish, right? But the point is, it's ammunition regardless. So as an investor, we look for ammunition. What's coming? What will investors start to price in, right? I think they're going to start pricing in what? Tax cuts, right? Tax cuts are coming. So it's going to give you more money in your pocket. It's going to make businesses invest more of their money because they're not spending it on as much as taxes. So it's gonna jumpstart, I think, the markets as well. But you have a lot of bearishness, you have a lot of bullishness, but the bearishness is sort of dwindling away, and yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. So XRP, let me just show you on this beautiful Bitstamp chart. We have, I think this is not the right one. Here we go. We have really, we're right there. I mean, we're right there. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4. We're about to go up into wave 5. And this is history. Why is it history? Because this is a 7-year long sideways accumulation base, right? This is as if, you know how important this is? This is as important as Bitcoin breaking above this area over here. So imagine, now this, think about this for a second, guys. Now imagine just for a minute, let me put that there, I'll put that there, okay? And then let me show you XRP real quick. Now watch this. Let me take rid of all of this, and I'm going to put this line right there. This is going to blow your mind. Watch this. So this is the 3-day chart, right? And here's the point right there. There's your 2017 all-time high. All right. Now you can see we're still in this range, right? We call it a rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways, blast off. Same thing happened over here, right? You had a rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways, blast off. Okay, we got all that. But look at this. So if you look at XRP, I just wanted, because I often talk about how big the base is, just to understand how big it really is. Look at Bitcoin now. Okay, this was the same point, remember? But look how small this was. Look how tiny that was. Okay, versus look at XRP. Look how massive this is right here. Right? So essentially, XRP is still within the range. That would be like if Bitcoin were continued to be in the range. That would be like if Bitcoin were still inside of this range and we were right here. Basically, Bitcoin or XRP, the equivalent of Bitcoin, is like at 15, 20K. Okay. So that's how long Bitcoin or XRP has been inside of its range. Look how long that is. That's insane. Look at all of these years down here. Okay. Now go back to XRP. You could see that same amount of years, right? I mean, all of these years. We're still in the same range, guys. That's why XRP is outperforming a lot of the other markets or a lot of the other coins, right? That's why XRP is my biggest holding, right? That's why I believe, that's why we've been talking about it so much in here while everybody else was giving up on it. So many people were giving up on XRP because it wasn't performing. Because think about it like in Bitcoin terms. Imagine Bitcoin, okay, Bitcoin 2018, 2017, $20,000, right? And then 2019, 2020, and then instead of 2021 going on a bull run, we just went into a retrace, and then we had to come down, and then we went sideways for all of these years, and then we're finally, that would have caused a lot of people to give up on Bitcoin as well. If Bitcoin was still at 7,000 in 2024, I mean, that would have been really bad, right? So just so you understand, I mean, let's put them side by side here for a quick second. And I actually have to let's put it to the 4-day chart so I can fit it in a little bit better. But there you go. You can basically see, let me try to match it up as best as I can. There we go. So look at the difference, man. That's insane. So if this is our point of reference, that's Bitcoin $20,000, all-time high in 2017. This is XRP's, still it's XRP's all-time high. See, Bitcoin had set another all-time high, another all-time high, and another all-time high. Actually four of them, right? Because there was one here, one there, and another. So Bitcoin had set 4 new all-time highs, and XRP hasn't even set a new all-time high, right? So that is why XRP is going to explode, in my opinion, because it is still very undervalued here. Now, if I take another line and I put it up here, or let's take a rectangle, and let's put it up here near the highs, right? Well, where's XRP's rectangle? Well, let's put it right up there, right? See, it hasn't. So you can see we had a rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation. We went sideways, and then we blasted off, and then we hit this triangle. Well, that's the same thing, but this down here is this. It's like 3 times the size, right? Well, it's actually more like 2.5 times the size, so you have same thing: rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways. But basically, that took all of the time as if Bitcoin was still below 20,000. So why am I explaining it like that? Because I just want you to understand from a psychological perspective. Think about it like this. Think about it from this perspective, right? So it kind of helps, it's kind of like if you watch your favorite show and then maybe a couple years later you rewatch it and then you miss something in your favorite show, or you figured, oh, well, I'd never thought about it like that because the way the ending ended, and now I get to see the beginning, and now it's kind of, it's just a different perspective, right? So let's actually tone this up to the weekly now, and we'll tone this up to the weekly. There we go. It makes it a little bit more manageable. And we'll spread it out completely. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to spread this out to right about there. Oh, look at that, guys. You can see you can see we have the same structure here, right? Rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways, the same thing, right? So what happened? Bitcoin broke out, right? So where do you think, where's XRP at? XRP is flagging out this very moment. So what do you think's next? It's going to have a big breakout. But guess what? It's going to be much, in my opinion, a lot bigger. Why? Because we don't need Bitcoin anymore, because of how long this has taken, right? Again, imagine Bitcoin still inside of this range right in here, right? And it's still like trying to work its way out, right? And now compare that, if Bitcoin ranged that long, compare that to how big this was. It was nothing, right? So sideways is good, right? So if you're going up and up, see, XRP never got to go up like that. It basically went up once and it's been going sideways ever since. So it essentially had started from here to here, and that's just essentially one wave, really. Or you can say 1, 2, 3, and then 4, and now we're going to go up for 5, right? So wave 4 actually took twice the amount of time as wave 2. So it should be a, what is the moral, or what is the overall message here? That means the 5th wave, right, should be exquisite. So 1, 2, 3, right? Triangle for wave 4. And now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's your 5-wave move, right? And that gets us up to, who knows how really how high it's going to go. We can use fib scales. We could use measured moves, right? I mean, typically you're looking at about $8 to $10, but it could go a lot higher than that. I don't think it's going to go a lot lower than that. I think $6, $7, $8 should be at least a minimum, I would imagine. But you know what? There's going to be a lot of people selling. So I very well believe we will hit $15, $20 at some point. But it's going to be a very big struggle because, there's so many people who are waiting to sell, who have been holding for years and years and years and years, going back 2018. I mean, look how long, we don't understand how long it is unless we look at Bitcoin, right? So there we go. Imagine I cut Bitcoin here. All right. So now Bitcoin is right there at 11,000. That's kind of like where XRP is, right? So if we put, and we're basically in 2025 right now. So that's as if, right? Bitcoin was still just doing this for all of 21, 22, 23, 24. So for an additional 4 years, right? So from 18 to 21, right? You got 1, 2, 3, right? Basically 4. So that's like basically twice the amount of time here, right? So this is where XRP is. Or actually, it's even further, it's over here, right? So it's been going sideways this freaking long. So if we go to XRP on the weekly here, oh, it actually cut that too. All right, let's get rid of that. There we go. Yeah, you can see just how long it's taken. But anyway, I digress. So, all right, let's look at the small time frames. Let's look at the recent move we just had. So yesterday, I said I was a little bit bearish when we were in this range, a little bit concerning. And what happened? We broke down. And that's exactly what I felt was going to happen. But then what happened? We didn't continue going down. We actually built a little bit of a range in here. And that actually took us back to the upside. So now what do we have? we have like a 3-wave move down, and now we have this 3-wave move up. All right, kind of like how this is a 3-wave move, right? So if we have a 3-wave move up, it's possible you could get a 3-wave move down, and this could be like a double three or a more complex correction, and then go up from there. Obviously, this is XRP ETF news, and it kind of flew under the radar a little bit. So I'm not so convinced that we have to come down here anymore. We could very well be like, for example, 1-2-1-2, and this is another 1-2, and we're gearing up. Obviously, it's Sunday. You know, I don't want to break out of here today. I would rather break out after the weekly candle closes, because a lot of times you have thin order books, and then the following day, let's say if we break out this minute and then Monday opens, a lot of times you have to come all the way back down. So we don't really want that. We want it to be in the middle of the week, the break, because that's where you have the most volume. That's where it's a very serious move. So I don't really trust things on the weekends, but let's see what Monday brings. I think we could get a big breakout come Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, somewhere around there, right? You can see all of this little zone in here, right? You got a shoulder, you got a head, you got another shoulder, you know, so you're kind of flagging out in here a little bit. So if we could start to push up, right? Again, that's exactly what we've been thinking. Why? Because we expect a retrace. So that's exactly what I believe is we're getting a retrace. The reason why is, again, you have a 3-wave move down, you have a 3-wave move up, and you have another 3-wave move down. So that's a W, X, Y, right? In the shape of a flag. Also, this is an A, B, and a C, right? Or an expanded flat. So then you start now, right? After you got that 3-wave move that took several months, right? Now what are we looking for? Just like how this took several months down here, right? That's how we know it's in the same degree, wave 2 versus your wave 4, right? So 1, flag out for 2, get wave 3. Flag out for 4, get wave 5, right? That's exactly what we expect. All right. So if we expect that, then what should we look for following the 3-wave move, right? We had a 3-wave move. Now what? We want a 5-wave move. Did we get a 5-wave move? Yes, we did. We have a 5-wave move right here. You can see very clearly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a diagonal, right? Very nice looking wave structure. And then we had a 3-wave pullback here, and then we kind of built a little bit of a range, and then we had this 1-2-1-2 here, kind of testing the upper part of the range, kind of building a little bit of a base, but you had this little 3-wave retrace, so you could always get 3 back down before climbing back up. So, but regardless, you know, one thing I'm not sure about is, are we going to take off from here, or are we going to get a 3-wave move down then take off? Well, for that, we need to look at the retrace. So if we take a fib and we put it right here, you can see we're starting to break above the 702. So if we break and close above the 702 on a 4-hour time frame, and then we start approaching even higher than that, then I would say maybe we don't have to, right? But then again, it could always be a flat. This could always come up here, take the high, and then come back down and then go up, you know? So I actually reduced some of my XRP trade, my futures trade right in here, right? And because knowing Sunday was coming, and Sundays have been usually a bloodbath, we dipped down. I was okay, but I didn't put anything back in. And then we shot up like this. So I'm like, okay, you know, that's just the way it goes, right? But luckily it wasn't a lot. I just, I like to deleverage on the weekends because every Sunday, man, has just been a bloodbath. So I primarily just try to stay on the short side for Sunday. But we had this ETF news, and then it kind of threw a wrench into things. So, in my opinion, if that ETF news never came out, I think this would have been our three. And yesterday we talked about like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this would have been an A, B, C down to here. But look what happened. You had one piece of news come out, boom, took us to the top. And look at that. Now we're at 225. It looks like we're still climbing. Let's look at the smaller time frames here. Oh yeah, look at that. It looks pretty bullish. Let's remove that. This looks actually pretty bullish right here. It looks like you broke out. You're kind of flagging in here. Looks kind of interesting. I definitely think more upside is on the horizon. So all in all, it's looking pretty good. Now there's always a chance that, again, like we talked about yesterday, where this diagonal, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a wave one. This could be an A. This right here could be a B. And now this is a 1, 2, and then you get 3, 4, and 5 for C. And that's your wave two. And then you go up. So we have to be aware of that, and that could be coming down to like sub $2. I hope it does it. I think it needs to stay. I would like to see it stay above $2, right? But just letting you know that this could be a bigger ABC. Let's hope not. Let's hope not. You could also say like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's kind of a different way to count it. And then you have an A and then a B and then you get a C, right? But it looks a little too small. So, but all in all, if we have to flag out in here, whatever, but eventually we should get back up to, and that level for the retrace, we're looking at, let me make sure this is on, yeah, 270 to $3. We'll just say that 280 mark. So right around there. And yeah, so that's exactly where I'm thinking. And then from here, obviously you're probably going to have to correct and get some resistance getting through those areas, and then eventually go for the fifth wave. So there you go. Monero. Ah, man. It looks like you have 5 waves here. Looks like you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it looks like this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So maybe it's time for a little bit of a correction, right? We've been going up since April 7th, up, 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 and now we're way up here. So we're at least back above, this area over here. We kind of have a little bit more here to go, but what we really have here is some kind of running flat. So A, B, C, right? So you have like 3 down, 3 up, and then you have 3 back down. Actually, yeah, kind of like, it looks, this could be 5 as well. And then this was your ABC. And then this wasn't a flat. This was just it was just an ABC right in here. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it ended right here, and then you have your ABC pullback, your flag, right? And then this could be a 1 and a 2, and then maybe A little bit higher to go, but I'm still looking at it as a running flat here. And you know, we've already broken above the downward resistance line right there. So you can see we've broken above it. So we really want to stay above, you know, 220, 225. Let's see, what else is going on? We looked at Theta, XRP versus Bitcoin. You can see we have A, B, and C, right? We have a three-way move there. So you have 3 down, you have 3 up, and you have 3 back down. So it looks pretty good for XRP versus Bitcoin. You can see 3, 3, and then 3 down, right? 3 up, 3 down. So, and now you have this like 1, and it looks like you're flagging out for a 2. Let's see if we can go up and get 3, 4, and 5. I'm expecting that because I don't have 5. I have 1, 2, 3. Looks like 4, and then we should get 5. And we have all of this resistance. There's a lot of resistance in here. So once we break it, it's going to be pretty powerful. We're just not sure if you have to come back and retest the lower part of the range, because we were ranging here for a long time. And we've taken the low twice, right? So it's actually like we're kind of driving a car here. We got your little cab, right? Got your, you know, let's go. Actually, it needs to be a rocket ship. Anyways, nothing too much there. Same thing with SHIB, you know, just like with Theta, it's the same thing. ADA looking good. I think that's about it. Let's just go look at the weekly candles now. So the weekly candles, let's turn on this. Oh, look at that, guys. So here's the grand finale. We have a Theta 9 on the weekly. We have a 9 buy on the weekly chart. And you could say, well, who cares? We had a 9 buy over here and look what happened. Yeah, but that's because you want the 9 at the end of the 5th wave. This 9 was in the middle of the 3rd wave. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It was in the middle of the 3rd wave, right? But what's even cool is you have a double 9. You have 2 9s now, right? We're also coming up on a 2-week 9, guys. This is very important. And this is actually even a bigger deal because in today, 4.5 hours from now, we're about to get a 9. And look at this. The 8 on the 2-week chart is a doji. So it's looking really good. Just like back over here. We came all the way down. We had a 9. Right? We built our base. We printed the red dots. We broke above the red dots. Obviously, it was just a retrace. But the same thing would apply here. You get a 9. You build a little base. You get these little red dots right in here. And then eventually break out. And that's kind of what I'm thinking here. So that's kind of cool to see that. Is there anything else that has any 9s coming up? What about Ethereum? Or Matic? You can see Matic was a week. It's not going to be that good. Ethereum looks like it's about to get it too. It could be flipped, but you know. Or even the 10-day chart works. But no 9 on the 10-day. But either way, I think we're pretty oversold. So, yeah, all in all, not too shabby. XLM's looking pretty good. So I think that's about it. Obviously, we talked a lot more about this yesterday. On the 1 hour, XLM looks pretty good here. Got this little three-way pullback here. Let's see where it goes. How cool would it be if we had an XLM ETF? That would be kind of cool. Yeah, I just don't know how sustainable this is going to be, this leg right here, without having a pullback. So you probably need to come down a little bit, and you have that shoulder, the head, the shoulder, and then start working your way up. So, or you should flag out and then break it. But either way, I think you should get a little bit of a correction there. So we'll see how it plays. Same thing with algo, same thing with ADA, same thing with basically everything else. So anyways, that'll do it. I appreciate everybody tuning in, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Cheers.